Is this that final stretch of these trade talks?
Well, Heidi, it seems that we could be in the last leg of these negotiations. Of course, we have China's lead negotiator, Vice Premier Liu He, en route to Washington as we speak. It's expected to restart those negotiations with his US counterparts, possibly Wednesday, possibly Thursday. And we know that when the US side, Mnuchin and Lighthizer, were over in Beijing last week, they were going through the text of a proposed document that they could put to the two presidents. They were going through this text line by line, and Xinhua news agency said there had been new progress in those talks, and the US as well had said that the conversations have been constructive. And now you've got these two measures by China to try to oil the cogs, it seems, on these negotiations. China is determined to try to reduce the frictions around trade, even if there remain questions around the enforcement mechanism. But it has done things like put the fentanyl ban in place. That will start from May the 1st. It's going to be put on a list of controlled substances. China is the biggest producer of fentanyl, and this is an opioid that has led to, at least being blamed for the deaths of thousands of Americans. And the other step as well that we reported yesterday was the suspension, a continued suspension of a 25% tariffs on US autos that started in January the 1st, and the Chinese are saying that now that suspension will be continued. So yes, Beijing's officials are putting in place measures to try to ease those concerns in the US, try to offer an olive branch, as you say, as these negotiations potentially get into their last leg.
And Tom, when it comes to China's relationship with Europe, we recently had that love fest between President Xi in France and Italy, but now it seems Europe is stepping up its criticism of China. What's going on?
Yeah, it looked so cordial, didn't it, for a moment there. Macron, Merkel, Juncker and President Xi, as you say, meeting on March the 26th. What we've heard from the European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker is that indeed they offered something of a critique, a pretty sharp-worded critique to their Chinese partners, saying, look, the issue comes down to the fact that European companies still can't get free access and equal access to China's markets. But Chinese companies can come into Europe. It's an open playing field for Chinese companies. And that situation, that lack of equality simply isn't sustainable. Juncker also said that he was concerned, that the Europeans were concerned, that Chinese investments in certain countries within the 27-member bloc would make it and are making it more difficult for the bloc to speak with a unified voice on things like foreign policy, particularly on questions of human rights. And of course, China is under the spotlight at the moment over its incarceration of about 1 million Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang. So those are a couple of issues that Jean-Claude Juncker put out there. We have heard from the Commission, by the way, in the last few weeks, they put out a report saying that China was a partner, yes, but also a competitor and also a systemic rival in issues of governance. So the Europeans seem to be taking a tougher line on China. They're running out of patience on these issues, particularly on the question of trade. But of course, the Europeans are slightly divided, particularly when it comes to the issues of Belt and Road. And you saw the Italians signing up for that when many European countries are standing on the sidelines because of their concerns about the transparency, the sustainability of that project.